They're about to start. Okay. So just to give you an introduction to Crazyhouse League, there are 6 teams of 7 players. This is the match in question, which I just showed you at the beginning of the stream. And they've just started. 4 games to go. The first to 7 points gets at least a draw. So only 4 games to go. Team don't at h6 mean need 1 more game to get at least a draw. Pawn pulverizers need to win 3 out of 4. They have got GSVC against King Switcher on board 1, which means they need it. This could be the decisive match, and it's begun. And it's a Scandinavian, e4, knight f6 with d5, and PKR's got a good control of the center, harassing the queen that came into the center. So hopefully the format is all visible to you. I'll just quickly check just to make absolutely sure. Okay, so it seems to be a bit cut off, but never mind. Yeah, it seems to be fine. So notice the 2 knights. The 2 knights are controlling the center very nicely. So actually, black opted for queen d8, which is slightly passive, but it's a very practical alternative to queen to a5. Queen to a5 is slightly more active, but the queen is sometimes liable to get a bit trapped on a5. And both harassed, it could be cut off with the pawn in the middle of the board on e5, so it can't swing over to the other side of the board, which is where it wants to be, near the king. And it can just be harassed a bit with white's pieces. So queen d8 is a much more practical option, especially in shorter time controls. But both players playing at incredible speed. Let's just at f6. That's interesting. So really playing it very defensively is ft029. That's quite a passive move in a way, but it's very secure. I mean, that pawn. I mean, black will be wishing he had that pawn in hand for h3. To be honest, h6 to be honest. So Pepe says, I'm falling asleep, because it is after all 3 o'clock in the morning in Spain, and we practice this line at length. Format is good. PKR plays queen d8 himself in this line, as do I actually. But I feel it's also kind of a practical play rather than objectively the best move. I mean, I've tried this against Stockfish 7, and it just pulverizes me as white. So, I have no answers. It is good for white. But what black opted for is just trying to go very safe, and he's really pushing d5. Interesting. So. Just also with that d5 move means he has a second pawn in hand. I mean, one could question why would you do this? Because this is opening up the dark squared bishop. And there's an argument that white already had a pawn in hand for h6, so he didn't need the second pawn in hand. I mean, I'm not sure if that's a valid argument. It maybe we check the engine and it's the best move. But yeah. So it is but on the other hand, if you're going to be opening up the center of the board, black's got a problem of where to put this king. You see, if g7 is disturbed, he can't castle kingside. If this knight might be taken, he can't castle queenside. And now the center is open, and the king can't really stay in the center either. I mean, that's what FT has opted to stay in the center. I think rook d8 is a slight error because it's letting h takes g6, h takes g7 happen. Rook takes queen, and you can take the rook with check. And Pepe says, I find PKR ideas in the opening tend to work. He has a very good understanding of the opening, yes. Yes, takes on g7 is strong. You lose the queen, you win a rook, and you get your rook, a second rook, and you end up with you get your queen back. So you win 2 rooks. It's not even a queen sack. You're winning 2 rooks, and you're getting a queen back in a much better position. So in fact, after this he will not take. He will go rook to g8, 100%. And so you've just done a free move by doing that. You've gained a tempo. Because of course, if you started trying to defend here, then black could do something else. He might take on here or defend in some way. Okay, so indeed he does go rook g8 for the reason I explained. And now bishop h6, Pepe says, would be a queen sack. Yes. Let's have a think. What is the best move here? So the first thing I'm thinking is, are there any squares which are actually controlled by white? So he controls this, he does not control this. So what's the word for not control? There we go, we don't control that, we don't control that, and we don't control that. This we control, this square here we control because of the pin. So these are the squares you can put material on. I mean, you could also put material here, but that would block up your bishop. So those are the options. Two good options. And there's also just takes knight check. But again, you have to ask, who do you have any use for the knight in this position? And not really. You've got 2 pawns in hand, you might as well use them. Oh, okay. I mean, I would probably have put a pawn, block up the file. So, I mean, it's just using the positional understanding that if you move your queen out, you're actually giving away control of all these squares to your opponent. And actually, that's the reason why actually maybe there's an argument that that was the best square because then that way you maintain control of all these squares. So you keep your camp as big as possible in a sense. So that was what I'd favour. A pawn here maybe. Now bishop h6, it's kind of tempting. 2 knights in hand. Now he's lucky that the 2 knight drops are indeed protected, but I know this is very bad. I mean, no, it's not very bad, but it's one has to wonder. Let's put it this way. What is I feel he had to block off the G file before playing something like bishop h6. Just a simple at g3. I can see why he didn't actually, because at h3 is annoying. And at g4 takes. Yeah, at g5 was another. Wondering if at g5 was possible. This just seems to be asking for trouble. I mean, even something as simple as, no, that doesn't quite work. I was thinking this, bishop here check. No, this doesn't work. Bishop here check, and then takes queen. Maybe it does work actually, and then you've got a queen of g2. Black takes the queen first, and white doesn't have any material to launch any significant kind of attack. So yes, this is completely killing. Oh no, king takes g2. Absolute no. Absolutely. This is the end of the game. It's like forced mate. I mean, king either way, you're almost forced mate. You're taking the queen. Queen here is mate. Queen. If you run up, queen here is mate. if you run down queen here is mate. Black is getting a queen in hand. Oh, you're right. King takes bishop is also an option, as GSVC says. Oh, hi there, GSVC. So I'm streaming this match from PKR's perspective. Yeah, I mean, King takes g2 feels like a huge blunder, but yes.
No, he had to play king takes g2, otherwise it's just worse. Maybe he should make the blunder.
Okay, so if
king takes, maybe throw rook at g8 first.
Ah, yes. That's nice. Okay, so we have some temporary cover with rook at g8. Yeah, so thanks so much, GSVC, for joining in. Board 1, in fact, of the pawn pulverizers. Yeah, I missed king takes h3 as an option. I just thought this is just all over, and then you pointed out in the Lichess chat.
King takes rook at g8, king d7. Whoa.
Oof.
And then king e7, but now bishop at f8. This should be a winning for white. No. The rook defends everything. Bishop at f8.
I see.
Should be a winning. Then take the queen. I thought king d7 was only move, and then maybe he had to take the queen,
Oof.
take the rook.
Oof. What's happening here?
Oh, what? What is this? What is going on here?
I don't know. So black has a queen in hand.
I'm not sure why he would do this, even if it works. Yeah. Okay, queen h5 is nice move. Knight h4, just knight h4. It's only move to not resign in 3. No. Okay, now it's over. Queen takes f3, block on g3, pawn at g4, and it's over.
Yeah. So pawn at g4 takes. Yeah.
That move. Now just queen takes f3, block on g3, pawn at g4, and it's game over.
Well, he took with the wrong queen. Does it make a difference? Let's see. So pawn there, rook takes, queen takes. It's still checkmate, yeah. No, actually it's not. Then the king can go back to g2. He took with the wrong queen, my goodness. So king goes back to g2, but then a queen and knight will mate. Yeah, queen back here, king down, knight h3 will mate.
Yeah, just everything mates. You have rook in hand.
Yes.
There, rook on g3, pawn at g4. There's like 1,000 different mates there. So,
yes.
I mean, after queen at h5, knight h4 was the only move. White
just to reinforce. Yeah.
No, knight h4. Just move the knight to h4 because white didn't have a knight in hand.
So yeah, so knight h4, and then but queen f3 could still come. So after knight h4, he could still go queen f3 though.
No, he couldn't because the knight covers f3 and the other queen is pinned.
Oh yeah, of course the other queen is pinned. Yes. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Instead of knight h4, just go knight h4. Probably white is losing. Black has pawn at g4 maybe. Pawn at g4, king g2. Still sort of make a fight after knight h4.
Yeah. So knight h4. So what I was thinking, see this queen is pinned, so it can't move. Okay, yeah, I see. He can just take it. Yes, I see.
H4 pawn at g4, king g2, and then the king comes back to safety. I don't believe in it, but I don't see anything.
So I'm just looking with the engine, and there is a mate, but rook g4. So it's knight at g5 as an interference move works. He has to go rook g5, and then you can use that rook later in the checkmate if he goes knight h4. But looking a bit earlier, this bishop at f8, wow, brilliant move that you noticed. And the point is, he then moves across, and then...
Okay, knight at g5? What if... Oh, rook takes g5, knight at f4.
Yeah, and then you win that rook with check.
Oh, knight at g5, rook takes g5, knight at f4 is the idea.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, no, queen g4. No, rook takes g5. Because otherwise queen g4.
Well, yeah, I had no idea that white was actually winning this after king takes h3. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yes, because the rook on g8 defends everything. That was the idea of including rook at g8.
Yes.
Yes, and what I said, can we go back? Rook king takes g2, bishop h3, king takes h3, king takes e2, rook at g8, king e7, instead of king e7. But that was...
Yeah. So,
maybe can just recycle that, the rook. Should be winning for white somehow. Let's go back to the current game.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So lots happening in this game. So looking at the current game, so we've got, in fact, a repetition of the line except they're not swapping knights. And we have a pin on c3, which he takes. Ooh, and he's winning the pawn on c3. pkr really knows his openings. And at e4, is that the move in that position? Maybe it is. And so you said your chicken played this against you yesterday. Up to this point?
Up to queen d2, I think. I think he played knight at h5 there. I'm not sure. Or maybe he didn't take c3 and he just played knight at h5 at a2.
I see.
Because if you take on c3 and then go knight h5, that has bishop at h6 already.
Okay. Okay, so lots of pressure on c6. That seems...
That should be okay here. I don't like bishop c6 either.
No, I mean, it's just helping black develop his bad bishop.
It just helps black, yes.
Having said that, you can't really put a bishop on d5 because of pawn e4. Just castles, or is there something better? White does have a lot of pieces.
Yeah, white will start dropping those pieces in dangerous places if we give white some moves. Maybe bishop at d5 in the place?
I was thinking bishop d5, but then at d4. Bishop at d5 at d4?
Oh, yeah, you said. Yeah.
At e4 rather. Sorry.
I was analyzing like this at 7, bishop takes at 3. Bishop at 4 seems solid.
Okay, so probably a better move was bishop at h5. Just to...
No, maybe like white can do something like knight at h5 or pawn at h6.
Yeah. Or rook g1. Kind of slow, but seems good.
Maybe then either bishop takes c6 was not as bad as I thought, or castle is just very bad.
Yeah.
Now bishop at h5, maybe close to the on the move. I think white can do knight at f4. And if knight takes f4, knight at h6. Just take everything in the king.
Yeah. Just going more slowly through this again. So I think normally in this position I actually drop on a3, but so white won a pawn at the end of all in the opening in some way. Oh yeah, so actually black won a pawn and then white won back the pawn in a way. Okay. So yeah, your idea here is there is danger. Takes, and h2 is weak, so you kind of have to take back. Takes, and do we have enough knights to cause trouble?
What line are you analyzing?
So I was looking at your knight at f4 idea. Knight takes, knight at h6.
Yeah, but yes.
Oh, at that point, just knight takes f7.
Yes, just knight takes f7.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure there's mate. I think I can just take everything and then think how to attack.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the other knight takes f7. Rook takes force, knight takes, king takes, knight takes queen. And like you said, you just won all the material. And he finds the move. Wow. I mean, ft029 is pretty good at tactics, I have to say.
Yeah. He's not bad at backhouse, I think. He's like 2200.
Yes.
In chess of console. And he's gonna find us.
Yeah.
Weird things with lots of pieces in hand.
So the bishop is hanging.
I'm assuming that he's the same one.
He is, yes. He is.
Because I just started thinking yesterday.
He is indeed the same.
No, that's a very big problem. Maybe bishop at f6 is a defense. With the idea that after he takes on g2, just take on e5, then try to take on f3.
Yep. And maybe this is maybe also a problem with bishop at h5. No, because after bishop at h5 you'd still have bishop takes f3. I guess that's the difference. So here goes.
This should be over.
Well, at least white has no.
I don't think he has more than taking the queen.
Yeah, at least white has no knights. Yeah, no, taking the queen is best.
He had a draw if he wanted.
Yes.
With knight h6.
Yes.
He should have made the second draw the lead.
Oh, that's true. If he took the draw, then his team wins, right?
No, the match is not over yet. I still have to play.
Yeah, but if he had taken the draw, then they would have won because they would be on 7.5 points. For a team win, they only needed a draw.
I didn't think so many matches were over.
Right. They're on set. So the draw was actually. So the counterattack comes now.
I missed the matches yesterday.
But the counterattack's kind of a bad idea because it gives. That just gave white a knight.
black was dead anyway, I think. So, no,
Well, I didn't see a mate, but yeah.
no, knight at a4 seems forced.
Knight a4. So the king has to run up, because otherwise you take the queen with the check.
Then king a3 seems good.
Because after king b3.
I don't see a reputation of king b3, but king b3 leaves.
Well, okay. Yeah.
But after king a3, there is no more checks.
King a3. There are no more knights, so yeah.
If you had one more knight after king a3, then after knight at b5, you might even be winning. But
Yes.
you run out of knights.
Yes. Darn. So I think he should have taken the knight earlier in the sequence.
Yes, but after taking the knight, he should be made by rook bc7. Bc7 for another 6. There's no way he survives that. No pieces on the king side and white having queen, rook, and some pawns in hand. You want to b3, which
Yes.
I failed to refute also, but didn't look as nice. So this works. Oh wait, maybe king b3 is actually better because king f8 might have allowed some bishop at f8 or bishop at b7 to play in different.
Oh, yeah, bishop f8 idea. Interesting. Well, what next? Knight takes pawn, queen takes. Oof. That's not good.
Seems there is nothing more to. No, knight h6 is
Knight h6, smothered mate, yeah.
3 or so. Yeah.
So FT is having a think. But it's basically all over. Well, he's got 4 minutes to find it. And I'm sure he will. So that actually will mean that their don't at h6 me go to 8 points, and maximum that pawn pile raisers can get is 6. So this actually determines the.
It's like the previous games, everything made for white here.
Yes. I mean, this is what I find myself actually. It's always useful to have, some reserve on the clock for calculating the mate, because it's almost like that's to get the mate right. It'll save you a lot of time later, because if you spend 1 or 2 minutes and you find that calculate the mate, then you don't need any more time. It's all over. So Pepe is considering mouse slips that result in the black not losing.
Yes, it's considered as h5.
Knight h5.
The best match with.
I like king takes a4 from us. King takes a4. Yeah, that's good. Knight takes queen with check. Yeah, sort of calculating the number of moves that lose here after all that. Well, the king could maybe try and run now. Let's see. Nope, king can't run very far. It's all over.
Go king f8. King f8 with g8. There is a 3.
Did you see the swindle in the 960? Wesley So against Fedosеев and
the end game, the
yeah,
queen versus pawn game.
Yeah, and Wesley So goes.
I'm surprised you had to defend for that.
Queen V8.
Yeah, I learned that trick within 3 months of knowing how to play chess.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
So just in case anyone's wondering, so Fedosеев just had a pawn, like I say, black pawn on A2 about to promote, and the king. And Wesley So had a queen, and he checked the white king on B8, and his king was somewhere like on C6 or C5 or C5 or something, and Fedosеев went for the stalemate with king A1, but that just gave Wesley So just the one move to bring his king in. King comes out again, king comes closer, and then your king is close enough to actually get a checkmate. It's like any move will draw except the move he did. Okay, sorry, I was getting distracted. So what happened in this game? If I open the opening explorer, gosh, I see some huge wild swings. So at a3 I usually play in this kind of position as black, but so he takes on c3 on move 6, and he takes another pawn, which seems reasonable. And he at e4 is the book move, as it were. So black's not doing too badly. Takes f3 is a slight advantage for black. Takes, but the knight check is not wise because the king just runs in the other direction, and that knight is looking a bit out of place. So just developing was good in this position, knight c6, for example. But okay, he throws in the check, and then he develops, which is good. And he defends, and yeah, the taking was not good. Now the bishop is in a good position. And the question was what to do in this position after knight at e5. And the answer is drop a bishop. Drop a bishop on g5 maybe, or on b5, or on f6, or on b4 even. I'm not quite sure how b4 works. At b4, what? I don't understand at b4. I'm sort of like, at b4 he just takes it, and then you hit the queen. Anyway, that seems like a creative thing. Oh, hi there, FT. Well, I'm actually talking about your match. Interesting match. So he's trying to sort out sound, I think. Okay, so black got an advantage again, but it's quite difficult to know what to play here. Bishop at g5 apparently is good, covering dark squares. Okay. Instead, castles. Castles is then a little bit of a mistake, and bishop to h3 is definitely a mistake. So bishop to f6 was what JSPC said, just to secure things up. And I can't quite hear. So FT is in the call, but I can't hear him. Or I can hear something, but I can't hear him.
He's muted.
It's not muted.
I'm trying to learn as well.
Ah, hi there. Greetings. Yeah, so we're having fun. We were having fun looking at your games. Congratulations on winning the match for your team. And yeah, so it was interesting how Black had a slight advantage, gave it away. Black had another slight advantage, then gave it away with castles, and then there was a final swing. Knight f4 looked like such a good move, but I think JSPC also suggested bishop at f6 then. So what was the strong move apparently? Instead of knight at f4, pawn at h6.
Yes. I also thought that the four looked good. Visualize.
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, knight f4 does look good, but and the point is, knight takes knight is mate in 13 or something, which is what happened pretty much. Takes queen, and
I don't understand how it went from mate in 12 to mate in 13, and then finally to plus 51.
yes. So if you take the knight, there is a mate after rook takes g7. Okay, that's what I didn't spot during the game, but GSVC did. At h6, king takes h6, and then queen at f6. And probably a rook here and a pawn here will finish it off, something like that. Yes, that's exactly it. Yes, okay, so with the pawns... Okay, so that's why he had to go on a bit of a counterattack, and the counterattack had little hope of succeeding. Yeah, okay. So good night, Pepe, who says, thanks for the coverage to OK and GSVC. Yeah, it was really interesting in that first game as well, by the way, PKR, that apparently that this bishop h3 idea followed by the bishop h3 idea followed by taking the queen actually didn't necessarily work. Rook g1, but the move white needed here was bishop at f8. So then his rook covers his own king. If rook takes f8, bishop takes, actually white is even mating in that position. Okay, so he doesn't like, he runs with his king, and at this point you could continue checking, or you could just take the queen. And now stuff like queen at h5, you can just run back down, and the rook is covering this. There isn't any rook takes rook check. So bishop at f8 was a very crucial move for white. There are other variations which might have worked, but bishop at 8 was a quite pretty one. So yeah, but so really some very interesting games.
It seems bishop f8 just doesn't allow black to capture the rook on g8.
Exactly, yeah. And that
Yeah,
was really...
I think I saw that and then I got lucky.
Yeah. So actually white was just doing fine that whole time until he missed the bishop at f8. And see, but I just thought he was lost. When I saw rook takes g2 hit the board, I was thinking, well, white is lost here, because I saw the bishop h3 takes queen. I just didn't see king takes bishop, and white is actually safe. So rook at g8 was a nice move to get safe, but it needed bishop at f8 follow up so that there wasn't a rook takes rook check. So just saying to PKR in the chat, he was upset because he was doing so well in game one. Yeah, I didn't realize how well he was doing in game one, but it required very precise play with rook at g8 and covering. There were other ways of doing it apparently, but I mean, Stockfish has taking the knight first and going rook at f8, knight at g8, forcing the king into the path of the rook, and then using a bishop to defend the king and stuff like this. And apparently that's even a forced mate there for white if you just play obvious moves. Sort of, if you just go here, then a rook is mating you. Wow, okay. So, because usually if you take the queen and your opponent can't take back the queen because they're going to get, then So if he just goes straight away and takes back the queen, he is getting mated by at g4. So usually in that kind of situation where an opponent can't take back a queen, you'd think that they are worse. But it turns out he had enough other pieces in hand, he didn't actually need the queen. But this position, yeah, at h3, yeah. If he just took back the queen, he was getting mated. Gosh, he's getting mated without the queen even, according to the engine. Okay, good games, and congrats. And pkr says he thought about rook at f8, but he wanted to defend the g file. Yeah, indeed. So we also thought, JSPC was also saying rook at g8 to cover the g file. But then you needed bishop at f8, otherwise that rook was more of a liability because of rook takes rook. Yeah. Okay, so quite interesting games, and thanks especially GSPC for joining in commentary, and thanks ft029 for joining for like post-match.
Oh, thanks for the commentary as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, bye everyone.